Hi there everyone, today we are going to look at angles of elevation and depression. Now angles of elevation and depression are effectively an angle which goes from horizontal up or down. Alright, so if we're talking about elevation specifically, which we're going to look at first, it's an angle from horizontal looking up. Okay, so if you imagine looking like basically flat and then raising your head upwards, then that would be the angle of elevation from horizontal upwards. Okay. So I'm going to look at two different examples, one for elevation and then I'm going to look at one for depression. But essentially you're going to get a piece of information, and what you're really trying to get from the information is to draw a triangle from it. That's what we're after, because again, this is more about using either trigonometry or Pythagoras' theorem. All right, and if it's because we're talking about an angle, it is more likely to be trigonometry, if I'm honest. All right, so a man who is 2 meters tall is stood 10 meters away from a building, and the angle of elevation from his eye to the top of the building is 55 degrees. How tall is the building? Well, try and picture what you've got. You've got a man who's stood 10 meters away from a building, so picture that. All right, and the angle of elevation there, so the angle from horizontal to ground looking up is 55 degrees to the top. All right, so what you need to do is get yourself a little diagram so you can physically see it. Okay, so here we've got a man. And again, so you've got a man down here, that's the building, of course. All right, he's 10 meters away from the building, and the angle of elevation, so this angle over here is going to be 55 degrees. All right, this angle here is 55 degrees. How tall is the building? So what we're after is this height. All right, so I'm going to call this X. So I've got this one, and then this angle over is 55. Right, so because I've got this, and because I know it's a right angle triangle here, so that's what it's formed, I can use trigonometry. All right, so please look at the lesson on trigonometry if you're not quite sure how I'm doing this, because this is the skill that you need. There's no point in doing this lesson if you don't know your trigonometry skills. So please look at that one and then maybe come back later. All right, so this one here is the opposite of this angle, and this here is the adjacent, so O and A. All right, so in terms of trigonometry, I'm going to use tan. All right, because that's one that has the opposite and the adjacent in it. And using my trigonometry skills, I know that tan 55, so tan of this angle, is equal to x over 10. All right, so that's what I've written here. All right, so tan 55 equals x over 10. And what I'm after, obviously, is this height here. So to rearrange this, it's going to be 10 times tan 55. So I'm going to put this into my calculator. So 10 times tan 55, and that's going to give me 14.28. All right. Well, that 14.28 is giving me this distance here. And look where I'm stopping there. It's giving me this bit here. So from this man's viewpoint here, 14.28. It takes me to here. It's that distance there. Not that bit there. All right. So it's just this bit here. Because it's angle of elevation from his eye to the top of the building. And this bit here where it talks about a man as being 2 meters tall clearly has some relevance, because it's not the entire height of the building. All right, because that's 14.28, so he's got this additional 2 meters. Now, I suppose you could argue his eye length might not be quite right, it might be 6 inches, but I guess at this point we're assuming his eye means the top of him. All right, so we need to add this height onto the top of it effectively. So we're going to add 2, so it's going to be 16.28. So you can see from here what they're trying to do is they're not necessarily trying to trick you, but they're trying to provide you with some additional information which may separate one student from another. All right, because yes, it's all about using trigonometry. Yes, absolutely. But they're also saying, can you interpret the question, and can you spot the fact that this has relevance to your calculation, and add it on at the end. All right. Okay, so let's look at depression. So depression, in the same way, is an angle from horizontal looking down. All right, so same thing. If you're looking straight across and then your head went down, it would be the angle that represents. So that's what you're after, is an angle going down. So a 1.8 woman is stood at the top of a 20 meters cliff, and she can see a boat which is 50 meters away from the foot of the cliff. Calculate the angle of depression. All right, so again, this is about getting your diagram correct and then putting the numbers in that you've got. Okay, so this is the situation that we've currently got, and like last time, this 1.8 meter height must have relevance. So she's 1.8 meters, so that's 1.8 meters there. It's a 20 meters cliff, so the cliff is 20 meters tall, isn't it? Here, 20 meters tall, and of course her 1.8. and then the boat is 50 meters away from the foot. All right, so there you go. All right, so this is the triangle that you've got, this one here, and you'll notice I've labelled them y and x, because this y is not the angle that we want. It's actually the angle x that we want, because this is the horizontal and this is the angle of depression, the angle going down from horizontal. All right, so whilst my triangle is here, it's actually this angle here that I want, not this one. But in terms of calculation, then I'm going to use this here to calculate y. All right, and then probably what I'm going to do is going to take this off 90 to get you this, because that's going to be a right angle there. All right, so anyway, let's have a look. So the total height, so I mentioned it already, so 1.8 plus the 20. All right, that's going to be the total height there, 21.8. Then we've got this over here, which is 50. So if I considering working out y, then this is the adjacent and this is the opposite. So I'm going to use tan again, aren't I? So it's going to be tan y is equal to opposite or adjacent over 8, 50 over 21.8 over here. So this time we're looking at the angle. So this is missing angles in trigonometry, if you need to look at that lesson. Then I'm going to put that in my I'm going to do tan to the minus 1 in my calculator. It's the inverse of this. So the inverse operation of tan is tan to the minus 1, 50 over 21.8, and that's going to give me 66.44. So just remember, this is all in my calculator. It's going to give me this angle here. That's that one. But of course, it's this angle that I want. So it's going to be 90 take away 66.4, which is going to be 23.56. All right, so that is my angle of depression, the angle from horizontal looking down. All right, so key part of this really, get your diagram absolutely correct and identify which angle that you need, and obviously make sure your understanding of elevation and depression are very, very accurate. All right, so please go to maths-school.co.uk. Link is at the bottom, and have a bit of practice on that. But if you are a little bit short in terms of your understanding of trigonometry, then please look at lessons on trigonometry before kind of doing this one. All right, well, thanks for listening.